Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Debe Islamic Association's Ramadan Reminders. This year we're continuing to look at the explanation of Chapter 2, Surah Baqarah, the chapter of the cow. This is part 4 of our series under the theme Allah's Knowledge. And today we'll be reviewing the first 3 parts that we completed, which completes Ruku 3 of Surah Baqarah, which are from ayahs 21 to 29. As we are still within the days of mercy, let's recite the recommended dua for this time. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi ighfir warham wa anta khairur rahimin. O my Lord, forgive and have mercy, and you are the most merciful of those who show mercy.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة من مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين. فإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة أعدت للكافرين. وبشر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أن لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار كلما رزقوا منها من ثمرة رزقا قالوا هذا الذي رزقنا من قبل وأتوا به متشابها ولهم فيها أزواج مطهرة وهم فيها خالدون. إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها فأما الذين آمنوا فيعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا وما يضل به إلا الفاسقين. الذين ينقضون عهد الله من بعد ميثاقه ويقطعون ما أمر الله به أن يوصل ويفسدون في الأرض أولئك هم الخاسرون. كيف تكفرون بالله وكنتم أمواتا فأحياكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم ثم إليه ترجعون. هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن 7 سماوات وهو بكل شيء عليم.
So as we recap Ruku 3, those ayahs from 21 to 29 in Surah Baqarah, Let's recall the three hadith which we encountered. The first was a Sahihain hadith, meaning that it was recorded in both Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, both authentic collections of hadith, where Ibn Masud, Sahaba, once asked, which evil deed is worst with Allah? And the Nabi ﷺ replied, to take an equal with Allah, while He alone created you. And the next hadith we encountered was about Prophet Yahya bin Zakaria and his cousin Isa. He was asked by Allah SWT to implement 5 commands to Bani Israel. And they were to have Iman or faith in Allah, the one God, to pray, to give charity, to fast, and to remember Allah. And the third hadith we encountered was where the Nabi ﷺ says, every prophet was given a miracle, the type of which brings mankind to faith. What I was given is a revelation that Allah sent down to me, speaking about Al-Quran. Yet, I hope that I will have the most following on the Day of Judgment. Let's now begin to take a review of the ayahs 21 to 29, which is the third section, Ruku 3 of Surah Baqarah, which we did in part 1, 2, and 3. At this point in time, you can pause the video and click on the link in the description down below, where you yourself can go and do the 10 multiple choice questions as a review or a recap of these 9 ayahs that we've done so far. Now that you're back, let's go through this. Let's look at the first question. Number 1. Allah requests that all of mankind worship Him because He is, and we're specifically looking at how this question was phrased within this section. So the answer will be the grantor of all favors. If we recall the objectives of Ayah 21, where Allah demands to worship Him, and what was it? That He reminded them of all His favors, because He says, Ya ayyuhan nas ubudu rabbakum. Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, ubudu, worship rabbukum, worship your Lord. And He went on in the next ayah, ayah 22, where He reminded mankind of the things He's done, where He who made for you the earth and the sky and the rain and the fruits and so forth. When Allah requests that all of mankind worship Him, because He is the grantor of all favors. So let's look at the second question. Allah alone has created everything. So too, something is the worst with Allah. And what would that be? Would it be so to steal is the worst? To take an equal with Him? To gamble? To fornicate? And we discussed it in the hadith by Ibn Masud, when he asked the Prophet ﷺ which evil deed is worst with Allah. And the Nabi stated, to take an equal with Allah, while He alone created you. So, to take an equal andada, that is equivalent to committing shirk. So let's look at number 3 now. Which of the commands listed below did Allah not order His Prophet Yahya to implement? And if you recall with that hadith, what did Yahya and Isa's conversation was about? The commands that Allah gave Yahya to implement. And they were to have Iman, which is the first one, believe in one God, Second, to pray, to fast, to give charity, all those four. And the fifth was to remember Allah. So the only difference between these five and the five pillars of Islam is the fifth one. It was to perform the pilgrimage. So let's look at the question again. Which of the commands listed below did Allah not order his Prophet Yahya to implement? And that would be to perform the pilgrimage to Makkah. Number 4, the challenge to man and jinn to create a literary piece equal to the Holy Quran or a part thereof was given how many times in Al-Quran? Was it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times? So if you recall, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the fact that this happened 3 times. First in Surah Isra, chapter 17, verse 88, and then in Surah Hud, chapter 11, verse 13, with the first occasion being where the challenge was to create a whole Quran, and they failed. And the second time in Surah Hud was to just create 10 surahs or 10 chapters like it, and they failed. And in this surah, Surah Baqarah chapter 2, verse 23, the third time the challenge was given to man and jinn to create just one surah. So that is 3 times this occurred. So let's go on to number 5. In ayah 24 of the surah, Allah says, "Fear the fire whose fuel is men and women, hypocrites and believers, hypocrites and disbelievers, hypocrites and their gods, men and stones." So if we call from ayat 24, where Allah says, فَإِلَمْ تَفْأَلُوا وَلَن تَفْأَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارِ. But if you do not, and you will never be able to, then fear the fire. التي وقودها الناس, whose fuel is nas, is men, والحجارة, and stones. So this is a direct quote from the ayah. This was in the part 2. And in number 6, the question is, Quran is also known as Al-Mathani, which is a book that mentions good for believers, bad for disbelievers, good followed by bad, bad followed by good, or both C and D. And if we recall from ayah 24, where the question before just spoke about that the disbelievers are those who will be the men, and along with stones to be the fuel for the fire. And it followed it in the next ayah, ayah 25, where Allah says, "Bashir al-ladina aman wa amilu solihat," and give good tidings to those who believe and do righteous deeds. Anna lahum Jannah, they will have the Jannah, they will have the gardens. So just in these 2 ayahs between 24 and 25, we can see bad followed by good, and in other parts of the Quran we see good followed by bad. So both C and D. Let's go on to number 7. We're almost finished. The parables such as thunder, lightning, or the gnat, or the mosquito is sent in the Quran to do what? It's sent to increase the belief of the believers. It's sent to increase the disbelief of the disbelievers. And is it both, or is it none of the above? So we recall that the parables about thunder and lightning was in ayah 17, which we looked at last year in Ramadan reminders, and rainstorm or lightning was in ayah 19, and this year about the gnat or the mosquito was in ayah 26. And what did this do? Right? These parables were sent to both make the believers increase their faith and for the disbelievers to go further away. So it will do both of them. Let's go to number 8. There's 3 more questions. What does فَمَا فَوْقَهَا mean? And if we recall in Ayah 26, where Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْتَحْيِي أَنْ يَضْرِبَ مَثَلًا مَا بَعُوضَةٍ. Indeed, Allah is not ashamed to present an example that of a mosquito, ba'uda. And he goes on, فَمَا فَوْقَهَا, or anything which is bigger than it. We have the last 2 questions. Number 9, the pledge Allah made with mankind in this ruku is to believe in His oneness. And we saw that in Ayah 27, where He spoke about who breaks the covenant of Allah after contracting it, and they sever what Allah has ordered to be joined. And they broke the pledge. And that pledge was to believe in His oneness. And the last question, Allah, the Creator, then istawa ila, which means what? So if we recall, Allah had created the earth, and after He created the earth, what happened? ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى إِلَى السَّمَاءِ. ثُمَّ, then Allah istawa ila. Then He directed Himself to the samai, then to the heavens. فَسَوَّهُنَّ, and then He fashioned those 7 firmaments. So istawa ila means that He turned to the Jannah. So let's now see if we have now come to the end of part 4 of Allah's knowledge, the series that we're discussing within Surah Baqarah in this month of Ramadan. Today, we reviewed all the hadith that we have done within this section 3 or Ruku 3, as we have completed it, and then we did a review. In our next video, we'll be looking at part 5, so we suggest that you read the ayahs 30 to 31. We now end with the recommended dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Our Lord, accept this service from us, for indeed You are all hearing, all knowing. Assalamu alaikum